Hey everybody, welcome back to Creating Scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator using free resources, of course. We're going to finish up the car rental garage at John Glenn International Airport. We're going to finish up the stairs that we were working on in the last few videos. And now, between yesterday and today, I've done a little bit more work. I did it off screen, but you pretty much by now know how to do some of this stuff. And just gonna kind of go over what I've done since yesterday. So what I'm going to do is I need to turn off our stairwells here. Okay. Now you remember we made copies of this. Now you see some things that I've added that I did not put in the other video. But if you'll notice, I have the cables for the railings added. And this technique is the exact same technique I used the other day. I think it was 1, 2, 3 videos ago on adding a texture for doing a railing. As a matter of fact, it's the exact same texture. Okay. Now, first of all, I've renamed some things. I recopied some things. All right. So the last time we made the individual components of our stairs. And then we put them together and then created the entire stack. And then we used the Mirror Modifier and created another set over here, right? Okay. But I went back. Remember how I made a copy of everything and then save that back because I didn't know if I was going to make changes? Okay, well, I made changes because what I did was, before putting all of these staircases together into one single unit, I went ahead and put textures on them. With the stairs, let me turn off the stack and let's go to the singles. Okay, so each one of these this is a single one. This is before I joined all 3 of them together. Okay. I mean, it's exactly the same thing I did in the video yesterday. The only difference was I applied textures to them. All right. So this particular object, stair number 1, has a series of faces, okay, that I applied that cable texture to, just like we did 3 videos ago about doing railings with textures, railings and fences with textures. All right. So I created faces in between all of these railings, and then I just added that cable texture. Now you notice that this one is at an angle. That wasn't hard. I basically started out with this face, and then I copied it in the Y direction to this area here, and then I basically simply took these 2 vertices on this face and move them up here, and it automatically makes the texture inclined like this. All right. Another change that I made was I said that I might remove this post in the stairs. Well, I ended up not, because it probably is there. I have no photographic evidence that there is or is not a post, but it makes sense that there is a post because these cables go up the stairs and then they end over here, and there has to be something for them to anchor to. So okay, so that's why I left this pole in place. All right, so the cables on the handrails, for the handrails, is just a texture. And then I have what I've done is the risers for the stairs. Okay, I think I mentioned in the video yesterday or the day before that these were concrete, and they're not. They're steel. Okay, the concrete is the actual tread and the platforms. So I joined the risers and the stringers together, and then I gave them just a simple texture, just a simple gray metallic quasi shiny texture. And then for all the other surfaces I put a concrete texture. All right, so after I did my texturing, then I joined all the components together. So if I come over here, let me get out of edit mode. With this object selected, if I come over to my textures, you're going to see that for this object, there are 3 textures assigned to it. All right, you got the cable rail texture, and you got the concrete, and then I have my gray steel. All right, so in terms of the stairs themselves, that's really all. That's the only difference from yesterday that I've made. I just went ahead and did all the texturing, and then put all the stairs together, and then did the mirroring. But those steps were the exact same steps that I used in the video yesterday. Okay, does that make sense? I hope so. So now we're just gonna do a simple copy and mirror function again, because we need to take the stair covering. Alright, so I lost my stairs over here because I have them turned off. Alright, so this is, and I will keep these separate for forever just in case something ever changes. Alright, so we're going to turn our final product back on. So I have them mirrored, and these are separate objects, not separate objects, but separate entities, because I applied the mirror modifier. Alright, so today we're going to really quick, plus I renamed some of the stuff, so I called this staircase master. That means these are the individual components that I can go in and edit later if I ever needed to. Alright, but these will always stay around. Now let's turn on the stairwells again, and the stairwell is made up of, whoops, well, actually I do want to do that. There we go. The stairwells is made up of the door frame. Ooh, look at there. I don't have my glass assigned. I'll show you how to do that real quick. But there are glass panels. There is the frame for the glass. And then there is a foundation. And then the posts and the top part up here. Let me see if I can find a picture of what I was using. Okay, so here's the prototype picture that I was using. I believe this is from the company. I think this was the construction company that built it, their website. All right, so here's the shed on top of the garage for the stairwells. Okay, so gives you kind of a pretty good look at the cables, or they may actually be smaller pipes and not cables, but for what we show on the staircase in the model, it's good enough. But it shows the foundation for the canopy, and then the concrete frame and then the window frames and the glass. All right, I will change the color that I have for the fascia for this because the one I have is incorrect. And then I will put in these light fixtures, okay, eventually. But anyway, that's the prototype that I used. So I am going to put this back. Yeah, okay, so anyway, so that is the canopy. All right, now what I could do is I can go ahead and do the lights and I'll need to do the concrete down here because the concrete around these openings on these other floors is a little different than this. It has this little wall here and then it has this wall, but this wall is this full height and it doesn't do this for this window. They go straight across. Let me see if I can find a picture of that for you. Okay, so I have our prototype up and we're going to zoom in here. And then I'm just going to move this over so I'm not in the way here. All right, so you see the concrete walls right here, up here, and up here. Now remember, this one had a little notch in it for the window. Okay, so if you look at the third floor and the second floor and the first floor, they don't have that notch. It just goes all the way across. So we'll model that, and then we'll add these four fluorescent or LED lights, whatever they're using, and we'll change the color of our fascia to, we'll probably use the same color we used for the steel frames for our stairs for that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. I know these are long. I apologize, but I just want you guys to see how I sit and do my stuff. Now obviously when I'm doing a model and I'm not recording, I would say I'm a little bit faster than this, but you guys get the idea. All right, so let's start with making our fluorescent lights. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this roof and let's make a slight change to our roof. So let's go into edit mode because the roof on top I believe is white. Okay, and I'll find some kind of texture to use for the roof of the canopy. All right, so what I'm going to do is I want to with the roof selected, I am going to do some loop cuts and create the fascia board that goes around. That's the only part that's going to be gray. So I'm going to Control R, and if you guys don't mind, I am going to move me down here so I can get my casts to show up here. Alright, so we're going to Control R and we're going to create a loop cut down here. I'm going to turn snapping off for a second, and we're going to move that in the Y direction. Let's go 0.6. Yeah, that'll work. Alright, and then we're going to do a loop cut on this end and move that negative Y 0.6. Loop cut down here, GX negative 0.6, and then one more, Control R, and GX positive 0.6. Alright, so I have some faces that I can separate out. So we are going to face select. Actually, it'd be easier if I just selected everything and then unselected this. There we go. Just like that. Alright, now anything that's selected, P, new selection, and we'll call this Stairwell fascia. Alright. I also kind of hope that you guys are noticing that I'm using actual construction terms for all the parts that I'm doing, so hopefully you learn some names of building parts, okay, such as fascia and soffit underneath here, that kind of stuff. But alright, now with the fascia selected, we are going to come down here to the materials, and we're going to get rid of this clay because it's not clay, it's gray, and we're going to reassign the gray steel, okay, just like that. And then for the actual roof itself, I bet that that's concrete. Probably has a concrete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, for now, get rid of the clay, and I'm going to assign the concrete texture to it. Now obviously it's not rendering correctly because I don't have any UVs unwrapped, so I'm going to go to UV editor, and with it selected, whoops, I'm going to select all, hit my period on my number pad to focus in. Alright, now I do have, the last thing I did was a concrete texture, so that's why it's showing up in the preview, but I'm going to come to UV unwrap, smart UV project, and okay, there we go. So now I have a concrete texture for the roof. I think that will probably look fine in the layout. I might scale it later so it doesn't exactly match this. Let's see what that looks like if I do scale it. So I'm going to select all, and I'm going to hit S to scale, and on the left viewport we're going to change the size. That's ugly. Let's kind of just scale it up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I think that'll work for now. Now I think that this is probably a rubber membrane that's on top to protect the concrete, so it's probably a little bit more wider than that, but underneath for the ceiling it's going to look like concrete. Okay, now let's do a save, and let's work on our fluorescent lights. So let's see if we still have a prototype. I know I do somewhere. You know, I'm going to pause. I did not download that image, so I'm going to download that image real quick. That way I don't have to use the website. Okay, so now I'm just going to go to my file explorer. You can't see this because I'm doing it off screen, and I'm going to find that image, right click and view it in photos. Open with photos. There we go. Now we have it. Alright, so here's our prototype for doing our lights and stuff. So we do have a beam that goes across here. I can't really tell. Actually, it looks like a I-beam that runs across the middle. So we can take care of that. All right, so let's add an I-beam. I can't remember if Archimesh has an I-beam, but we're going to take a look. Archimesh has a bunch of cool tools. So what we're going to do is with our, I want to go into edit mode, and I want to select this bottom polygon, this bottom face. I'm going to do a Shift S and move my cursor to that location. Okay, so it's underneath our roof. All right. Now, let me turn off the stairwell for now. All right. And there's our 3D cursor. And let's check and see. I can't remember if Archimesh does I-beams or not. So let's get out of edit mode. And let's do a Shift A, go to Mesh, go to Archimesh, which is right here. And it does a room doors rail window panel. It does columns, but I wish it did an I-beam. We can make an I-beam, which I may have to do. I'm going to add a column here for a second and see if it allows us to modify it to an I-beam. No, it doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to Control Z, so a couple times, get rid of that. All right, so we are going to have to construct an I-beam. All right. And how do I want to do that? Yeah, you can do it a few different ways. All right, so let's do it this way. All right, let's Shift A, Mesh, Cube. All right, and in the X direction, I want this about a foot wide. So I'm going to go to Item, and in the X direction, we're going to go 1 foot wide, and we're going to be 1 foot tall. Okay, and now I need to turn on my stairwell, and I want to turn off my wall, my roof. Okay, and I'm going to turn on snapping to edge. All right, go into edit mode, tab, vertice, ghost, select these two right here, and we're going to move those where they snap right here. Oh, I'm going to have to drop that down. Am I? Yeah, I need to drop the top down. I need to drop the top down so it's level with this part right here. So we're gonna G, Z, and snap to this line. Okay, there we go. Now I'm gonna take these vertices, move them in the Y to snap to here. G, Y. Select these vertices and snap to this one. G, Y. Alright, so now we have that beam going across like that. But I believe it's an I-beam. Okay? So let's do a save real quick. Now for an I-beam, let's turn off ghost. Alright, for an I-beam we can do a couple of insets. So with face select, with this edge, with this face selected, and this, oh, I need to get out and apply scale. There we go. All right, now go back into edit mode with tab. With those two faces selected, we need to put a border around, and the I-beam is probably, the steel is probably an inch, inch and a half thick. So what I'm going to do is hit I and put 0.125. 125. All right, so it kind of gives us this edge, gives us this thickness of the I-beam. All right, now this is a foot wide. From here to here, it's a foot wide. And this face, you guys know what an I-beam looks like, right? If you cut it, if you looked at the profile, it looks like an I, okay? A capital I, okay? I say that because some people may not actually know that. All right, so anyway, so if this is a foot wide and our steel is 0.125 thick, which is roughly an inch and a half, we need to take this face and move it inside. That leaves us an inch and a half thick on the inside. So that's going to just require me using my calculator here. So, but I only want half of that. So, 1 minus 0.125 gives us 875. So 1 minus half of that. Let's see, that's 0.0625. So 1 minus 0.0625 gives us 93. Divide that by 2. Whoops. I know you guys just can't stand me doing this. 1 minus. Let me pause and I'll get back to you with my math. Okay, I got the math. Alright, so our beam's a foot wide and we need to have a ½ inch or 0.125 in the middle for our steel, right? So 1 minus half of that 125 is 0.0625. So I subtract that from 1, gives me 93.75. I divide that by 2 because I want it only to go to the half of the steel, and that gives us 0.46875. All right, so I need to take this face. So I'm just going to select this face. Oh, I'm sorry, but both this face and this face were selected. All right, but I'm going to just do this side first. I'm going to select that face, and I'm going to extrude it in the negative direction. 0.46875. So that insets that steel inside. Now I come back over to the other side and do the exact same thing. E minus 0.46875. And that gives me an I-beam. Alright. Now, at the end, this polygon right here, so let's select this polygon and zoom in. We have to do some edits, so I'm going to hit period on my keypad. And what I'm going to do is I am going to simply select this face, shift, this face, this face, this face. All right. And I am going to delete faces. Now I need to get rid of this face. Delete faces. Then I'm going to vertices select, and I am going to turn ghost mode on, and I'm going to select these vertices right here and these vertices right here. Hopefully I didn't get that one over there. Okay, so I have these vertices here, and I'm going to move those in this direction so they line up with these. All right, so vertex select, snap on, and move those in the Y, and click on that. So that gives us our I-beam, just like that. Now we need to do the other side. All right, same thing. Let's select these and hit I so we focus in on that area. Face select, turn off ghost. I didn't have to, but it's a little easier in this particular case. Select those, delete faces, select that face, delete that face, and then vertices select, ghost, and select these vertices that I want to move. And move those to this Y. And there we have our I-beam. See how that is? Okay. So let's take a look at our prototype. See if we're anywhere close. And we are, kind of. This I-beam actually looks like, oh, it looks like it's has a corrugated ceiling. We can take care of that later. But looks like this I-beam is not all the way even with the top of the windows. It looks like goes there. It's a little bit. So this is probably 8 inches wide and 8 inches tall. So let's change that. Okay. So I probably have it a little bit too wide. So we can scale it. We can probably use scale. That way we don't lose our I-beam, because if I just moved everything, make our steel a little thinner, but it'll be fine. So let's tab out and let's scale. What is the it'd be 0.6. Yeah, it'd be 0.6. All right, so let's select, we're going to scale it in the X first, and then we're going to scale it in the Z. The Y scale is fine. So let's S for scale, X, 0.6. Yeah, I like that better. All right. Now, since my origin of this object is at the top, it should bring the bottom up when we scale it. All right. So let's SZ for Z scaling, 0.6. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Well, not perfect, but good enough for what we're doing. So there we just scaled. So let's go to Object and apply that scale. So this scale over here is 1. You want this all your scaling needs to be 1 before you export it to the sim. Now let's look at our prototype. So yeah, I think our I-beam looks a lot better now. Looks representative. Now we need to add we can add some little piping for all the electrical stuff if we want to, which we probably will, and then we can add our light fixtures. So what I want to do is I need to turn off my stairwell here. Let's turn off our window frames and our glass. There, so we can do that. Alright, so I'm going to select that I-beam, tab, face select, select this bottom face, and Shift S, move our cursor down to that location. Alright. Now, we're going to use Archimesh again, and to be honest with you, I could have showed you yesterday how to use Archimesh to make railings, okay? Because in an essence, these railings are basically pipes, and Archimesh has a pipe fitting tool to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our electrical conduit out of pipe. All right. So I'm with that selected, get out of edit mode, and let's give our I-beam a texture. So we're going to make that the gray steel. There we go, just like that. Do a save. All right, now at our point, do I have? Oh, we need to take that and hit M and move this to Stairwells. There. So that should move our cube to our stairwell collection, and we'll call this I-beam. There we go. Now we're going to Shift A, Mesh, Archimesh, and it's down here. It's not sorry, the pipe stuff is not part of Archimesh. It's part of extra items, or extra shapes. What's that called? Let's go to Edit, Preferences, and Extra Objects. All right, this is free. Extra Objects is free with Blender. You just have to type in extra to find it, and then check mark it. You want add curves and meshes. There should be an extra meshes, extra objects for meshes too. So make sure extra curve and extra mesh for extra objects is enabled by hitting the check mark. Okay, so it's an extra object, not part of Archimesh. So let's do a Shift A again and come down to pipe joints. So pipe joints, you got elbows, you got T-joints, Ys, cross joints, which is like a T, and then you have an end joint. I have no clue what an end joint is. That's not a real term, by the way. So let's see what we're going to do. Let's add in a, well, let's look at our prototype first. So we have a T-joint here, T-joint here. We have 4 T-joints, and then we have pipes that come across that connect those. All right. So let's see what happens when we add one of those cross joints and see if that's what it's trying to tell us to use. Pipe T. Big, right? Yeah, of course it is. All right, and we're going to make the radius 0.1 0.25. It might be, so I'm wondering if that's a little too big. Let's look at our prototype. Let's make it a little smaller. Let's make it 0.5. Let's make it half. All right, so radius 0.05. Okay, let's make it 0.06, just a little bigger. Okay, so it adds this pipe, right? But I need to rotate it so it is going the direction that we want it to. So this T is at this end like this and goes this way, right? So let's rotate it on the Z 90. Okay, and rotate it on the Y 90. That's not right. Let's go 0. Put that back where it was. Oh, on the X. I'm sorry. X 90. And there we have that laying down just like that. Alright. But I believe it is in our... It is inside of our I-beam. Yeah, it's half inside of our I-beam. So let's drop that down 0.06. So Z, here you can just do a minus 0.06. Did you guys see what I did there? You don't actually have to get your calculator and subtract 0.06 from 51. You can just select the 51, put a minus, and then the size, and it will automatically do the math for you. Okay. Now, our poles are too big, plus it's not in the correct location. So I'm going to do... you can do some of these lengths. Arm length. What's this? Which one's the arm? Okay. This is what they're calling the arm. And we're going to make that... I got to get my photo. We're going to make that... see, our whole thing is like 25 feet. So I'm going to make this... I'm going to make this 15 feet long. Okay. So let's come down to our arm length. Let's make that 15 feet. Should be sticking out. Yep. All right. It's probably actually longer than that. Let's make it 20. And then we are going to move the whole thing, but we want to get all, well, we don't have to, but because once you finish all this and get out of it, you can't get back to the T-joint properties, which kind of sucks. All right, I think that's good. All right, so let's GY and move it, because those first lights are pretty close to this wall on the right side. And let's click that. That looks close. All right. Now we need another T at this end. Now Here's the cool thing about this pipe stuff is that it should, anytime that we add a pipe, it will remember the radius that we used previously. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it's not put it into my collection, but that's okay, we can move it later. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, actually go into edit mode, ghost, vertices, select all our vertices, they all selected, yeah, and I'm going to shift S, move our cursor down there. All right, and then I'm going to hit period, kind of focus in that area. Now get out of edit mode, shift A, and mesh, pipe joint, T. So it adds another T joint there. Now the thing is this arm that we had before is 20 feet, okay, which is, remember, like I said, when it adds a new pipe, it'll add it according to the sizes, not the rotation, but the sizes of your last pipe that was added. And this arm, we are going to make this 0.5. Oh, there's the arm. No, let's control Z. Whoa, see, that's what I hate about the pipe. I should have did it over here. So let's do a shift A and add our pipe again. T joint. There we go. All right. So remember, 0.5 was the last one that it did. And we are going to rotate this on the Z90. -90. My bad. Let's select -90. Okay. And let's move it this way, 0.5. So let's move it in the X, the Y, plus 0.5. That didn't work. How come that didn't work? -137. That's not where it was it? Where was that? I can't remember. The fun of doing these videos live, right? Well, let's give it another rotation. Let's rotate it on the Y-axis. 90. Oh, why did I do that? Oops. Am I doing that right? Oh, X-axis, you dummy. All right, X-axis 90. There we go. All right. Now, I'm not worried about the length of these two arms. We'll change those here pretty quick. All right. So let's go into edit mode and let's move this one back. So let's select this pipe, go into edit mode, select these vertices, G, Y minus 0.5. What? Escape. Which way am I going? Oh, I'm facing the wrong way. That's why. Should face this way. So that way. Didn't have to face that way. We want to go positive. G, Y, 0.5. There we go. and then get out of edit mode, select this pipe, and go into edit mode, and select these vertices. Vertices snap on, and move Y. Oh, wait a minute. Select all. Yeah, you see my mistakes that I make. Don't you love it? I want this one to be my... No. I want this one to be my active vertice. Alright, now I want to select all my vertices because I'm moving my entire thing back over to here. So we're going to GY, then snap there. There, see how I did that? Now these arms are a little too long. Plus, I need to take all of this and move it this way because it's closer to this end than this end. Alright, the mirror is like this, but so I am going to, I can actually join now. I can actually join these two T-joints. So get out of edit mode, select this T-joint, shift or control this T-joint, and control J, and now those conduit sets are one piece. Now I'm going to GY, and we're going to slide this down here. Bam, like that. Okay. Now we want to bring these arms in. So we're going to go into edit mode and select these. And let's move these in the X. GX minus what is, let's move 5 feet. No, backspace. 8 feet. There we go. I'm guessing, by the way. Alright, now these we want to move GX 8 feet. Let's look at our prototype. It's close, I suppose. I know that there's 2 there. Okay, but we're going to do that. We're going to make this second. We're not going to actually put a cross joint there, a T-joint there. We're just going to put a pipe going across and a pipe going across, and it'll make it look like there's a. It'll make it look like there's one there. Okay. Okay, and I can use my 3D cursor here. So let's do, I'm still in edit mode for the conduit. So I'm going to shift A, add a cylinder. No, I'm not. See how I think? Let me do some thinking. Be right back. Oh, I was making it more difficult than I wanted to. Alright, so let's turn on face select and copy those faces. Let's select those faces right there. Do a shift D, escape so I don't move it. And let's rotate those on the Z90. RZ90. There we go. And let's move this in the Y. GY. Let's just move it right down to about right here. Just like that. And then let's copy that. Shift D, escape, G, Y, move that down to, oh, I got my snap on here. Let me turn snap off. GY, slide that down where it looks good. Doesn't have to be perfect. Unless you suffer from OCD, sorry. All right, now I want to take these vertices and move those even with these over here. So turn my snap back on. GX, snap, and then select these vertices, GX, snap. So that should look something like that. Let's take a look at our prototype. So I got two cross beams going across like that. Alright. Now they may be square, I don't know. They just may be brackets to hold the lights, but we can use the pipe for now. Now we want to make our light fixtures, and that's basically a cylinder with an emissive, some of the faces of half of our cylinder that are given an emissive texture. Alright, so let's close this out. And I want to find, I want to make my 3D cursor to be halfway between these two. So I'm going to select all these vertices and then Shift S, cursor to selected. So that moves that 3D cursor halfway between these points here. Alright. And we are going to add, let's take a look at our prototype and get an idea of the size. Let's make them a foot. And let's make them 1 foot wide, or the radius of our cylinder is a half a foot. Okay, so let's get out of edit mode and Shift A and add a cylinder, and we're going to rotate that on the X by 90. So I don't want to yet. Do I? Let me select this here. Let me do an object. Apply all transformations. Alright, now go back to here. And let's rotate on the X 90. And let's make our let's make our X1 and our Z1. Oh, I did that wrong. I didn't let me do this. Object, apply all transformations. There we go. Now let's change our X to 1. Oh, control my, where'd my origin, there, my origin moved down here. Alright, so I need to change that. I want to right select, set origin to geometry. There we go. Now we can go X1, Z1, and let's look at our prototype and see how long those things are. Bet they're probably somewhere between 6 and 8 feet. No, those look like 4 feet. Those are 4-footers. Alright, so we're going to make our Y 4 feet. Yeah, that's better. All right, now let's go into edit mode. And we need to cut this in half. So I want a straight on view of this edge. So I believe that's going to be tilde R, no, tilde F for front. And let's zoom in here. And let's select these top vertices and delete them. Oh, I selected faces, not. I want to delete vertices. There we go. All right. So we have that. Now I want to close the ends in, so I'm going to select those vertices, hit F, and then do the same. I hit the period on the number pad to focus in on my selection. Alright, so I have that, and then I can, even though we will probably never see them, I could select these 4 and put a face on the top too, like that. Let's do a save. Now, am I going to be able to loop cut that or not? So let me see, Control R. Yep, I can. Alright, so I'm going to do a loop cut, and I'm going to click, slide that to the end. Then we're going to move that in the positive Y, GY1, no, escape, GY.5, okay, and then I'm going to add another loop cut, Control R, slide that down to the end, GY minus 0.5. I hope you guys see why I'm doing that loop cut. Because in our prototype, if you look at the light fixture, the lens of the light doesn't go all the way to the end of the tube. Alright. So now, let's get out of edit mode for a second. And let's change cylinder to light. Light box. Alright. And our T-joint, let's call this conduit, because that's what it is. Alright. And let's shift select our light box, and let's move those to our stairwell collection. There. So now they're up here. Now let's separate out our lenses. So with our light box selected, shift, tab, go into edit mode, and let's select face and turn off ghost. Sometimes I like ghost, sometimes I don't. I don't know how high that goes, so let's look at our prototype real quick. Oh, it's down quite a bit. So let's select 1, 2, 3. We'll leave 3 of those for the light box. Okay, so start with that one. There's 1, 2, 3. Leave those. Shift, select that one, 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 and that one. Okay. So let's select those faces and then hit P. Make those a new object. and it gets lightbox 001. We're going to rename that to lightbox lens. Okay. And then let's do a save. And let's take a small break. Okay, so I think our light fixture is going to be just fine. So let's add some textures to it. Let's bring up our prototype, take a look real quick. Could be, I don't know if those are white and they're just showing up like this because they're going through the glass, but for now, let's give it our gray steel look to it. So let's tab out of edit mode, select our light box, go to materials, and select our gray steel. Okay, now let's select our lens and let's add a new material and let's just call it lens. And we are going to come down and add, give it a color. And let's kind of give it a yellowish color. I want to dull that up a little bit. Okay, now I have my color selected, so I want to see what color I gave it. So I'm going to select on the color palette, go to hex, and write down the hex, which is CCC 7 alpha 3. Alright, now that I know that, let's come down to emission and select emission, go to hex, and type in CCC 7 alpha 3. Hit enter. So now, oh, I did that wrong. I didn't do it wrong, I just should have done it a different way. Sorry. That's what you get for watching this live, right? It's not live, but you know what I mean. Let's go down to MSFS material parameters and change that to standard. Okay. And let's come, now we can come up to our base color. Whoops, base colors right here in the FSM parameters. Select that, but we already have our hex, we already mapped that out. So CCC 7 alpha 3, that gives us in the off position, and we want day-night cycle. Alright, and for emissive color we want CCC 7 alpha 3. It should be a little brighter. There we go. And that's what it's going to look like when the light is on, which, even though they're the same color, because most likely these lights may be on during the day too, just because it's a shadowed area and they have lights on. Alright, so that is our material for our lens. Okay, so that gives us our light. Now we might have to go in and add an actual light source in the sim. This may not light up enough, but we can do that. We can add a blender light if we wanted to, or we can add a light in the actual scenery editor in the sim. Alright, now with those two, with that light box made and the lens, we can actually join these two together. So I'm going to select the lens, control, select the light box, and hit Control J. So now they're one object with two materials assigned to them. Alright, now we can simply copy this to these 3 other locations. All right, so first, let's select our conduit, go into edit mode, turn on ghost, vertice, select these vertices, Shift S, move our cursor there. Okay, then I can get out of edit mode, select our light box, and go into edit mode by tab, select all with the A, Shift D, escape, and then Shift S, move selection to cursor. That did not work. What did I do wrong? It's somewhere else. I think I screwed it up. That didn't work. How come? How come? How come? Let's Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. All right, so we undid. How come that didn't go over there? Oh, I didn't have anything to snap to. All right, so with 3D cursor there, I'm going to Shift A, add a single vertice. So now I have a vertice right there. All right. Now I'm going to go get out of edit mode, select our light, go into edit mode, select all, Shift D, escape, and then G. There we go. We might need to move that down. So let's, okay, with those selected, Shift, select this vertice so we have an active vertice, and then G, Z, even with this one. There. All right. Now we can select all, Shift D, escape, and then we are going to move G, Y, and move it in this direction to about right here. Okay, and then I have an extra vertice. Let's get out of edit mode. I have an extra vertice. I don't need it anymore, so I can delete that object. So now we have our lights. So let's do a save. And let's take a look at our proto. So there's our 4 lights and our conduits. It may not be perfect conduits, but it's close. It looks like it. This set over here actually overshoots the light fixtures, but we're not going to do that. I'm not that much. I'm not that much of a perfectionist. Guys, do whatever you guys want. All right, so let's turn on, let's go back to our stairwell, and let's turn on our roof, our window frames, and our glass. Now, obviously, you can't see any light. I would have to render this to see how the lights work, but we can play with those later. All right, but that gives us enough stuff to make our roof entryway over, over on top of this other staircase. But we're going to do one more thing. I'm going to turn off the glass, turn off the frames, leave the roof because I want the ceiling. So I'm going to select the roof, hit tab, turn off ghost, select this face, which is the ceiling. Okay, and I'm going to hit P, selection, and rename that face to ceiling. because we're going to give this a new texture. We're going to give this the corrugated steel texture. Okay, so get out of edit mode. Let's do a save. Now I'm going to go into UV editor. I don't need the concrete. Select all. Oh no. Oh no. What did I do? Should only have ceiling selected. Oh, I don't have ceiling selected. There we go. Now I have ceiling selected. Now I can go into UV. Hit A. Should not have it. Yeah, there we go. Alright, that was user error. IO error. Idiot operator. Alright, so with the ceiling face selected, UV, smart UV unwrap, and OK. Now we need to get a corrugated steel texture, and I believe I might have one already in this texture folder. Let me double check that real quick. Okay, I do have a corrugated steel texture already in my Columbus project, so I need to create it for this particular model. So I am going to come up here. I'm in materials already, and I'm going to disassociate the concrete with the ceiling, and we're going to create a new one, and we're going to call this rib. Okay, yeah, rib. Hit enter, and then I'm going to come down to MSFS parameters, turn on standard, and we are going to come down to the base color, click open. I'm going to go in the textures directory, and we're going to find our corrugated steel. That's the ambient occlusion. That's the dark. Is that the same? I don't know if that's the same. Let's make it white. See what that looks like. Turn on the white and then give it a normal. So open image. And it doesn't show, so I need to open up the image here in the left. Which one did I choose? That one? I don't know which ways these ribs are going. I can't tell. Let me go to layout real quick. Since there's no light, it's probably going to be hard to see. So let's go to UV and let's rotate 90. I gotta make sure. Let me make sure that this is correct. I might have to flip it. Yeah, I might have to flip. Alt N, flip. There we go. I think that's right. That's probably why it wasn't showing up. Yeah. Yeah, now I can see the ribs now. Yeah, I just needed to, the normals were facing up and not down on the ceiling, so I had to flip that face. So let's go back into UV editor. Now I can barely see the stripes. Okay, so we're going to, over here on the left side, we're going to move that over, and then we're going to, I'm going to turn snap off. And we're going to scale that S, scale that so our ribs are smaller. I know you can't really see them all that well on the screen. Alright, but let's, now they show up better. Alright. Alright, so you can see, you can barely see the ribs now. But let's go ahead and go into the UV editor and come down to normals and add the normal image for that corrugated steel. So they'll start jumping out at us. Okay. There we go. Now they're a little better. And then go into layout. Yeah, now it looks more 3D. Okay. So we got our corrugated roof ceiling. Let's do a save so we don't lose it. Okay. Now let's turn back on our window frames and our glass. Now let me talk about glass real quick. With the Asobo exporter and Blender 3.2 or 3.1 or above. Previously in Blender, when you did an MSFS glass, which is the material that I assigned to these windows, okay? So I have MSFS glass, gave it its green color, and then in the alpha channel, I gave the alpha channel 0.6 transparency. Alright, so it's not completely opaque and it's not completely transparent. It's a little over half. Opaqueness is basically what that is. 1 is opaque, 0 is completely transparent. Alright, so that's how the glass looks. Now the cool thing about 3.1 or above and using the Asobo exporter materials, you get a better preview of glass now. In previous versions of Blender and the old Blender to MSFS exporter, anytime that you did material parameters being glass, it was just, they were just gone. You didn't know what it looked like at all until you got into the sim. So that's what I like about the new one. Alright. Now, my doors, I don't have the correct material. So I'm going to select the glass of our doors, door glass, and it has no materials, so I'm going to assign the glass green material. So now my doors are correct, and I need to assign the material for the frames, which is this here. So we are going to select aluminum, and now we have our aluminum frames. See how they kind of shine? We have our green glass. We have our lights. We have our conduits. We have our I-beam. Now it's just a matter of copying this over to the other side, but it needs to mirror. Alright? So we're almost done with this long video. So I need to file save, and I'm going to pause for a second, collect my thoughts for the next step. Okay, the thoughts have been done. Alright, now if you remember what I did with the stairs, I made a copy of everything and saved those to a backup, and I need to do that to the stairwells as well, so I don't lose anything I've done here when I join all of this stuff together. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new collection. Scene collection, right click, new collection, and down at the bottom it adds my collection. So I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to call this Stairwell Master. Okay. Then I'm going to come up to Stairwell, and I'm going to select conduit all the way down to the glass, and I'm going to Shift D escape so I don't move it. So now I have a copy of everything. Now those copies are selected, so I'm going to hit M and move those to Stairwell Master Collection. And then I'm going to go down to Stairwell Master Collection, and I'm going to turn them all off. Okay? That way I don't mess with these. Now my Blender file is going to be huge, but I'm not going to export out all these master collections. Okay? But they are duplicates. Now let's go up to Stairwell, and let's it doesn't matter which on these that you select, because you're going to rename them when you get done. All right, so now we have everything that makes those stairwell selected, and we are going to Control J and join those into one object, and we're going to call this stairwell. Okay, and if we were in the materials, if you look at the materials, all the materials that made up all those individual pieces are associated with that one object. Now we need to make a copy of this object and mirror it over to here. Okay, now if you remember, we should still have, if I didn't inadvertently delete it, we should have that line, that edge that we made right there, this edge that we use to mirror our staircase, right? So we are going to use that same edge, and we're going to move the origin of our roof canopy to the vertice that splits this line. So let's go into edit mode, tab in, turn on vertices. With that vertice selected, which it is, I'm going to Shift S, move the cursor to that location, get out of edit mode by hitting tab, select our roof, our canopy object, and right click, set origin to 3D cursor. Now, I don't know if this is going to line up, because some goofiness that I done, but we can actually apply the modifier and then kind of adjust it a little bit. All right, so with our canopy selected, all we need to do is add a mirror modifier. So I'm going to go to the modifier, add modifier, mirror, turn off X, make it a Y. All right. And it actually lines up just fine. Yeah, no, it's correct. That's exactly where I want it. Isn't that cool? All right, now let's apply our modifier. Bam. And there we have it. Okay, so let's turn off the main deck 001, because that's just this construction line. And let's turn on main decks and see what we look like. Awesome. Awesome sauce. Like I said, it may not be perfect, but it's getting closer. So let's turn this east wall on. See what that looks like. Now, I'm wondering, this east wall is a bunch of big slabs of concrete that are kind of beveled in between that makes each one of these here. But that gives us a good representation of what the garage looks like. Let's look at our prototype. So here's those individual panels. Now this is incorrect, so I'm gonna have to take some of that off because this stairwell is looks like this. So I have that wall too big, so I'm gonna have to cut it back to the next pillar. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but it'll represent what that building looks like. So yeah, that stairwell's in the wrong place. It needs to be right here. This wall is correct. The stairwell's incorrect. Go figure, I put it in the wrong spot. I'm not worried about that because this and the stairs, okay, I can just separate these out, move this over to this point here, cut a new hole, and close up the existing hole, because I still have, okay, so yeah, see, you guys are seeing, you know, how I recover from a mistake, and that's really why I like to make these videos the way that I do. I know they're long and drawn out, but why not get better using Blender and the SDK by seeing other people's mistakes, right? Okay, so I put these stairs in the wrong place. I made the hole in my garage incorrect. So if I turn off main decks and I come up here to decks, you notice that there's no holes punched in. Okay, so I can recreate main decks, because main decks and decks, they're the exact same thing. All right, they're the exact same model. The only difference is main decks has the stairwell hole cut out, and that was just done with a Boolean operation. So what I can do is take the object I used for the Boolean, move that over to the correct location, and re-drill my hole, basically, with the Boolean into the decks and make a new copy of main decks. Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? So that's how I'm going to fix this problem. I won't do it in a video, but you add the cube that you're cutting through, and then once those holes are there, you have a new main deck object that you create, and then I simply select my canopy and my stairs and I move them over to the new location. Okay, so I don't know how when I get to another point on this garage that I feel that I need to make a video for you guys, because basically it's standard modeling, I will record that as well. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed making these stairwells, and please subscribe, hit the notification bell, make comments. The algorithm for YouTube, you know how that kind of works, needs to show some interaction. But thank you for watching. I know my videos are long and drawn out, and you guys are fantastic for sticking with me and watching the stuff, and your comments are great. And thank you for supporting me by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/myphysicalworld. You guys have a great rest of the week, and have a fantastic weekend. And I'll see you guys on the next video. See you guys later.